Iceland just announced that every Icelander over the age of 18 automatically become organ donors with ability to opt out. How do you feel about this? Please like, subscribe and comment so I can create more videos for you. It's interesting, because this is actually very similar to their state church system. Icelanders are automatically registered as a member of their mother's church upon birth and have to opt out if they don't want to be registered as a church member. My Icelandic friends and I call it Christian by default. Leads to a lot of interesting cultural and religious views of what it means to be religious or not. Most people don't unregister, but just never go to church. And the churches registered with the government still receive money from the state for anyone registered as congregants members. Churches receive roughly $7 per month per registered individual, regardless if they regularly attend or not. Only in recent years have people started to actually bother unregistering from their churches. Not true anymore. This was abolished about 7 years ago, which has led to a very consistent annual drop in church memberships. The parish fee is still a thing though, and you pay it even if you're not part of a church or religious organization. This we call the atheist tax. It has been ruled a human rights violation by the European Human Rights Court, but we collect it anyway because fuck me, I guess. As long as the ability to opt out is easy and evident, I don't care. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes everyone. I really did not expect my opinion to be appreciated by so many people. I did read most of the comments and responded to some. It seems a lots of people can't think of a reason to opt out. The only answer I have to that is everyone has their own view on life and may have different views than the majority. Maybe I'm a moron, but why would someone opt out? I'm not looking forward to donating one day, but why not keep someone else alive if possible? There seems to be this weird stigma that people have where they think that if they are an organ donor and the folks see that when trying to save their life, that for whatever reason they'll half-ass it so they can get their organs. I've never understood it, but this seems like a good way to handle that. Let people choose not to be helpful post-mortem instead of them having to choose to be. That's at least understandable fear, however illogical. Beats situation we have in Poland, where it's in next of kin discretion to allow organ harvest, and there's absolutely no way to legally force them to do so. I've personally seen denial based purely on unfounded fear that organ harvesting will somehow make body look bad in open casket burial ceremony. I've always said that this should be the way. I got an extra 13 years with my dad thanks to someone else's heart. Edit. I'm going to do my best to get back to every responder to this comment. It's almost exactly a year to the day that my dad died, and you've mostly all made me tear up with your comments and stories. If you want to be an organ donor, make sure your family knows about it now. So far I'm going on a year with my mill, and I'm expecting many more. I love her as much as my own mother, and don't know what I would do without her. When my brother killed himself, the hospital was incredibly pushy and pressured my grieving mother to let them harvest him. They took away our chance to say goodbye, and they botched the procedure and ruined all of his organs by not putting him on a ventilator. Then they billed $30,000 for butchering him and refused to budge on the bill. We still can't even collect his estate because of the hospital bills from them cutting him apart against his wishes. He was dead before he ever arrived and they still found a way to charge us for a surgery. It's not ridiculous to think those people would let you die for your organs. They absolutely fucking will. I've seen the way they get when they think they have someone they can use. I don't doubt for a second that they would have pushed us to pull the plug if he was on life support. Don't have so much faith in these people. They're highly paid and see you as a profit center. They only care about how much they can bill your insurance company. Fuck St. Mary's Hospital in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm from Austria and it's been like this over here for as long as I can remember. Honestly, there is no issue. Very few people actively don't want to be donors. They care enough to just opt out. Most people don't care whether or not their organs are donated, don't think about it, and would be too lazy to opt in if it weren't automatic. I literally see no reason against it, and anyone I've ever talked to about our system has expressed the same opinion. It's beyond me why it's not a thing in more countries. Edit. Till it's more widespread than I thought. I hope it's going to become even more common. I'm not a fan of having to opt out of something you didn't sign up for in the first place. The onus shouldn't be on the non-consenting party. I am an organ donor myself, and encourage everyone to be organ donors. However, I know that many people and their families have personal reasons for not wanting to be donors. Despite the ability to opt out, there will still be cases of people who didn't get around to opting out, or maybe weren't even aware that they are compulsory donors. Also, if people with mental illnesses or cognitive disabilities aren't automatically opted out, this raises many ethical issues. I'm not a fan of having to opt out of something you didn't sign up for in the first place. The onus shouldn't be on the non-consenting party. This right here. Another point to consider with relation to this is who has ultimate control over one's organs, the individual or the state. With an opt-in model, the individual retains inalienable property rights to their person, whereas in the default participation model, technically the organs are property of the state. This isn't some Orwellian fear of Big Brother coming to harvest your organs at the gov choice, but rather it's a case of fundamental rights. Either we are agents of our own being, or we're agents for the collective. Perhaps it's my own ignorance that keeps me from seeing a melding of the two. However, I just don't see a reasonable compromise here that doesn't affect personal rights elsewhere. I say this as an organ donor myself too. Personally, instead of a gov mandate for organ donor participation, we should instead encourage people through social channels to opt into organ donation programs. Let them decide for themselves instead of taking away their ability to consent to what happens to their body. Sounds awfully similar to the abortion argument. IMHO. People are more apt to do what's right and helpful to society without gov intervening. I have to disagree. While morally I think it is great to have organs more readily available, I think you should not automatically be opted in. My feelings on this stem from the technology industry. Apps, Windows, Microsoft, browsers, video games, they all automatically opt you into their information gathering, email sending, text message viewing, invasive services. I personally think it should be illegal to have anyone automatically opt me in for anything. Everything should be a default no until I otherwise give my consent to it. It also should be illegal to give out other people's information under the guise of if you recommend 5 friends, you get a free t-shirt. Because then all of a sudden I am getting spam calls from gyms, window companies, scammers, all because some arsehole that has my number decided to put me down as a recommendation. Even asking to take me off lists, I still get calls. Yes, I am an organ donor. Yes, I wish more people were. But no, I don't believe anyone should be automatically opted in for anything. No one should have to spend time, energy, or have to navigate tricky menus just to opt out of something they never agreed to in the first place. Even if it is a simple 5 minutes of your time with an easy to navigate website. Most companies' places bank on people not paying attention, not knowing in the first place. Unpopular opinion, but I do not like it. And X200B, I am all for organs going to those that need it, and I would hate for organs to decompose and go to waste. And X200B, but I am very much against the notion that you are automatically subscribed to becoming an organ donor. This would suggest they would have an automatic claim over your body unless you opt out. I principally believe that they do not and should not have any claim to my organs and body unless I willingly opt myself in. I am in favor of donating organs. So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. So you can understand the people that do not agree. That does not give the government the right to take my body by default when I am dead. It put people in a difficult position when deciding whether or not they want it. It a bit like if the government by default can take my property when I am dead. I am dead, what use do I have for it? So they give it to people that need it. If the culture was that if you opted out you were shamed, I would have a hard time to make that decision. I know it is not the same, but I think it helps to look at it that way. Good, but why is it only for people over the age of 18? We're talking dead organ donation, presumably. They're not live harvesting livers or whatnot. So, there is no reason to exclude anyone. If a legal guardian wants to opt a kid out, they could. Children generally need organ donations from other children, because of the size of the organs. Not including kids means more dead kids. I'm not personally a fan of dead kids. Come on, who doesn't like dead kids? Seriously though, I can see your point and I am sure it is a big issue, kid donors for kid recipients, but I am sure the logic for age limit was that kids can't decide for themselves, and I am sure some percentage of kids would disagree with their legal guardian decision not to opt them out and would be made to donate their organs against their will, which is not optimal to say the least. What's the most interesting thing to me is the fact that if you do opt out, you're at the bottom of the list for receiving organs, meaning if you don't give, you can't take as easily. It really puts perspective of the whole argument, and really just shows how humanity needs to be put above your own happiness. Even in my very religious family, if I was to donate most organs, they would have an open casket, a sad funeral, assumptions. Exactly as they would otherwise, and honestly, I can't think of a god someone believes in that would be upset by these actions. That worries me quite a bit. It's like saying that the government owns your body. If you disagree, you can just die. Donor organs should be for anyone that's a match and fits the criteria in the given situation. I disagree. Bodily autonomy means the default position should be that you have complete control over your own body, not that it's public property unless you say otherwise. I'm 100% in favor of everyone being an organ donor, but that is a decision that you should opt into, not out of. Edit. A surprisingly large number of you have condescendingly decided that because I don't agree with you, I must be lacking some fundamental understanding about how life works. Good to see both sides. Had to scroll down kinda far to get out of all the yeses that are basically just made to get free karma. I think it's a misuse of government power over the individual. Organ donors are wonderful people, but when the government starts making decisions about the bodies of their constituents, that sounds like a bad idea. Edit. I don't know why I'm being downvoted. I'm all for organ donation, but I'm against governments making decisions about people without their consent. If they wanted to increase donor rates, simply put the option in the front of people's minds and make it easier to register for it rather than make it mandatory unless you opt out of it. I'm against it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's noble to donate your organs, but it should be a voluntary thing. Insisting that people can opt out despite knowing full well that people frequently put things off isn't the same as voluntarily giving them. I think people should be organ donors, but it should be something they consciously decide to do, not because they didn't get around to filling out the paperwork. How disappointing for them. While I'm not opposed to organ donation, I think that should be up to the person donating. You could say that they still have the option to opt out, but consent should be given, not assumed. Additionally, what this means is that the government of Iceland owns the bodies of its citizens. That's not something I'm okay with either. I know I'll be downvoted for have a non-conforming opinion. Try to remember it's not a I disagree button. Edit. Fix the word something.